Welcome to Max Life Out and welcome to my channel where I share my passion for all things cycling with you. In this video we're going to take a tour of efficient Velo tools factory. When I went down to pick up my EasyLift stand here, I got to meet Flemming, the founder and lead inventor at EVT Tools, and we had an impromptu factory tour. It was a great experience, so let me hand it over to Brett.
The whole start of EVT was with something in 1999 called the offset Velo clamp. So this is, you just put the offset Velo clamp on like so, and then just lift it up and present it to a part clamp. And so it also gave you an adjustable height ability. The only trouble is, over time, this joint kept breaking because people used them all the time. And so then I invented the right arm clamp, which has 2 inches of material, 2 inches of jaw height, a little tiny bit over 2 inches, a few thousandths. And then that grabs just about anything out there. And the other thing about my product is I benchmark it, this tool I benchmark differently than, well, here's how I benchmark it. My competitor has stuff that falls off of their clamp. Nothing can fall off of this, and nothing will ever wear out. The leathers, even, I have the original leathers on the original stand that I made. They're still in there. They don't really wear, you just, but they get chewed up from, you know how sometimes seat posts have stuff here and bolts sticking down, so this gets beat up and chewed up. But this particular handle is like solid aluminum, and then it's, we use silicon bronze, TIG welding on the end of the cap, so it can never fall off. And we keep soaking it with lube at the factory because we know sometimes mechanics are too busy to maintain their stuff. And then this just comes open here. It's really simple. Just the thing goes on a million threads. It'll never wear out. And we lubricate everything from the factory just to make sure it's, going to give a lifetime of service. And so the neat thing about the right arm clamp, as opposed to, yeah, I'll put these on the floor. So circlips that fall off, this part falls off, so the mechanic has to kludge something together. Some people think that they still want the cam thing, but the tough thing about a cam is you go tight, 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 over tight, and then loose again. See, that over tightness has to happen in order for the over cam to work. And this is the one where they used to chop them down and stuff, but I just don't like the idea of little circlips holding stuff on like that. And this tool, if maintained properly, oh, I had a tremendous career with that tool. Okay, I bought houses with these, and it works fine, especially if you maintain it, but there's so many moving parts and so many things that can fall off. What I noticed is bike mechanics weren't like me. They didn't keep the little trunnion bolts tight, and of course it did fall out and waller the hole and waller the threads, and everything gets wallered. And as this thing hammers harder and harder, then the over center, error is compounded. But the doggone thing is beautiful. It was so much better than what existed before. And when I went to the to the owner of Park Tool, I talked to him. Park Tool and us have some dialogue because we're hey, we respect each other, and it's really neat. It's okay. So here's the actual manufacturing end of it, and we kind of make all this stuff here. Well, I'm like the ultimate rat rod. That term rat rod is like, this lathe was the first industrial tool I bought. It's like, I don't have time to paint it, but I cleaned it. I've cleaned it a lot, okay? I don't have time to paint it. But, it works. And, like here's, this is on your EasyLift. Do you see the thing where the green tape is on? I'm a high-end tool collector, and I have completely taken all these apart. I started painting it, and then I said, oh, hell with it. So that's how far I got. And that's like who I kind of am. You pull it out to here, there it goes. And then this is blah, blah, blah. And then this will drill it. And this isn't doing anything, it's for some other job. I'll just leave it there. And then you can just tap it. And these are really interesting lathes because unlike any other hand turret lathe, they have electric clutches, like air conditioner clutches. They give you this fantastic situation. Low, pull your tap out at double of low speed. And then the high speed, and then it's completely, this is kind of cool. That's a good video effect right there.
So you turned all of these stands all by hand?
Right here.
Right here.
Not all of it. Like some of the stuff is made by a local CNC shop. Here's the other thing. You know, one of my jokes is like, hey, guess what? The other CEO of bike tool company ain't doing this. Basically, if I want to do a counterweight, this is kind of my job. So I take your counterweight, and this is like, instead of going to a gym, this is how I get in shape. I run it in this lathe, and this is a really rare lathe. It's a Wade 98. It's an amazing hand turret lathe to be able to take something that big. And so you set the depth here, run this in like so, tighten it, and so then you present, you know, the center drill to kind of get it started, then the tap drill, then the tap, then reverse, and start all over again. And then this, I put a radius on the end of the counterweights, and there's what they look like when they're finished on there. And we don't tell people, but we thread both ends, and that way if you ever broke off the cable somehow by, I don't know what would ever cause that to happen, but if that were the case, then there's a whole nother, I think about stuff like that. I'm a little bit strange about giving you a lifetime tool. And then this is the kind of thing that we do here that really matters to me. Here's a really beautiful, just to give you an idea of some of the parts we're doing. This part is made by a local machine shop and heat treated and black oxided in town. So everything like this is within 20 miles. The spring for the wrench is custom wound for us by a spring place. The springs in the right arm are custom wound. These nylotron bearings I make on a Wade turret lathe over there. And then we make the little finishing washers that go on top of here. So black wrenches, well, this gives you the idea, right? And then we have a tool, at their thing to calibrate this. And so you can kind of custom clock the wrench to however you want. For some reason, if it tightened here and you said, I really want it to tighten here, then you can take it all apart and reclock it and get a few degrees, and there's math behind it. So this goes like so, and then here, and then I make this on the hand turret lathe. These are the kind of parts that we make in-house. So this is kind of fun. We're small enough that like these, we make these in-house. So I make these on the hand turret lathe over there, and Gary radiuses them on another machine. And so this is inside it's up inside here. And the O-ring is to keep it from falling out, okay? And then this one is on the side binder, you know, on an easy lift, and it has a little spring to kind of keep some tension on it going up and down. Is your pulley bracket, and these are, talk about American made, look at this. The lube date was 5/20/21 on the bearing, so they, you know, but it's all mil spec kind of stuff. And the reason I like this is I like phenolic as a material. It's like the original carbon fiber. And this part's been unchanged since probably before World War II, because when I first did easy lifts, this is how the company started. I knew I wanted a classy pulley, and I don't know what the heck started, but I was at some machinist show, and this lady had a box of aircraft pulleys, and a small box, like 30 of these suckers, different sizes or whatever. And I thought, oh, those are neat. And then I made the first counterbalance stem with an aircraft pulley. And then I got through those first 30, and I thought, man, I've got to get some more. So this is a genuine certificated aircraft control pulley with a super special bearing. And the reason I want that is it has to be first class, because, you know, these are kind of ordinary materials, you know what I mean? So we take ordinary materials and try to make a work of art out of it. And then here's where we build the right arms, and we do the leather gluing in a 3-step process. We first form them cold. We hand select the cowhide. I go to the leather store and choose hides that are the right kind of hardness and thickness. And then we press them in with these aluminum things to get them formed. Then we do a bonding of the glue, and then we mask it and then do a fill in behind. So it's a 3-part process, and then he trims and sands, you know, the final product. And then we kind of tune and get the thing ready to just give a lifetime of service here. These are the plates that as we get them, we have a drill press here that we process them on. We're doing the little foot plates. But we only drill like 5 at a time. We really are making all this stuff, and we really like, there's the jaws for right arm, just the old angle iron. And then here's some stuff in process. We're trying a new way of radiusing the jaws. Gary's ganging them up on a mill, and we're putting true radii on this. But we spend a lot of time hand blending these jaws. So we start off with this and end up with that, more or less. And this is all done by hand. Every radius here is blended by hand. We're trying new methods because this is what the guy said. But our competitor has, once the pads are gone, sharp edges. I don't want sharp edges. And also on the current clamp that they have, there's a stud that can stick out in the air that only comes from the factory with a vinyl cap. And you know how mechanics are getting their stands higher and higher and higher? Because of seat post grabbing, right? If you used to grab the frame, it was low, but now it's high, so stuff's eye level. It matters to me. The rule is, if I come get these jaws after they're grind, I do kind of bonk it on my head. Because that's what's gonna happen. You're down underneath of a bike and you stand up. Oh, here's an example of some stuff okay, I make these in-house. We make these in-house, that's on the pulley bracket. So this is the perch for the spring. On the right arm clamp, it has a spring. Oh, so here's the right arm as it's been welded. This spring perch is this. Okay, and it's also this. On that lathe, I just did that drilling and tapping thing. This is the end piece. So we try to use smartness on that kind of stuff. So in fact, this part here is the same length as the pulley bracket parts up top. And you know, I had Casey, this brilliant engineer that worked for us, do all that. England is really known for nice lathes. So this one here is called a Dean Smith and Grace. And look at the quality of it. Look at how they did this. I mean, thank you, Mother England, because this thing here is ridiculous. These are inch and metric dials that have differential gearing inside of them. The linear thing on this is perfect. We bore every easy lift receiver where the right arm goes in this, and we face the foot plates on this old Axelson lathe. That 1020S tool room lathe, and these were only bought by the government and the Navy and Defense departments. No human being could afford them. This would have cost 2 or 3 new homes you could buy. And this was a special ordered one for the US Naval Gun Factory with an extra huge spindle. And this is where we do every bronze bushing for the easy lifts, you know. And I have another one over here. They're like a prize lathe. These are more rare than Ferrari GTOs. They only made like, well, probably 400 of these. And they're just, you know, world-class machines. And that inspires me. The feel of this, the smoothness, how they paid attention to the details. You know, that's the stuff that, you know, matters to me. And my rule of safety is I have to be able to rally my BMX bike through the shop without hitting my bars. And don't you think that that's a perfectly reasonable safety thing? Because that's not even 3 feet, you know. We're doing some prototyping here. And again, I was a professional mechanic. I did this for a living, and I taught people how to do it for a living. So here's your stand, and one of the things that the premise behind the Easy Lift is not that it's a lifting stand. It's that it allows you to, you know, kind of clamp the bike in any position on the ground, and then assist a controlled lift. And the way that works is there's a counterweight it's right now touching this part here, and it comes down about 30 inches of solid steel. And when you let go of the vertical binder, it's going to ascend. And as it does, there's a precise clearance between the weight and the tube, and you're going to hear air coming out of here. And that is kind of a maintenance thing. If for some reason it started just going really slowly, then it's probably a little bit plugged. And it's really easy. What you do is you just have a little drill, like a 16th inch drill, and you have someone, you can just be ready here, and then you would just kind of push it in there and clean it out while it's blowing air out like this. And so the reason we do that is so we can have a controlled ascent velocity to not, like, you know, hit you in the head too bad. And the way the stand works, it's like 2 deep knee bends, kind of. You just kind of drop down like so. Let the air catch up, and then push it down all the way. And that's kind of loaded, ready to go. And here's something that's nice about, like, if my life in a bike shop. If I have it low and ready to go, and I want to walk through that aisleway, you can just rotate it, you know, and have it out of the way. And so that's kind of how you set it. And you know, you can just like, I operate it more like fingertip. It's barely, you know, get it where you want. Like say this is the bike, okay? And you tighten this on the seat post. And then you really never want both binders loose at the same time. So you know how this has to be angled about 73 degrees or whatever for the seat tube angle. And then the way I like to do this is fully bound this way. You know, like if you really had a heavy bike, you could kind of maybe go about that tight, but that's pretty rare. What you're really going to think about is it's just to place it and tighten it just with delicate touch. The thing, when I ask people that are really happy with the Easy Lift, I said, what do you like about the Easy Lift? He says, everything I do is better because you have access and visibility. This is called a Holbrook H15. Oh my God, this is one of the most fantastic lathes in the world. I would race anyone in a manual lathe competition. Look how smart the Englishmen were. American lathes, all the knobs are the same. Okay, these are the same, but this is different, and that one, you don't want to move it when you're running. It's so radically different, you know? And in my world, if somebody came in here and accidentally broke that thing, I would just die. I would just die. And I'd find someone in England to go to a lathe scrapyard and get me one, because those details matter to me. It's just weird, you know, like.
I think that's the ethos that you bring to it. I mean, just listening to you talk about the tooling and the equipment and the machinery, I think that's what comes out in your tooling.
Well, you got to knock off the burrs and edges, you know, like everybody delivers you a razor sharp corner, you know. And here's another thing about my shop. Look at this. If you studied that, you'll see how terrible I am as a machinist, you know, like maybe if you looked at the width of that land, it does vary a little bit. Like, look at this is how I made them the last time. Oh, I did it round. So yeah, here's an example. You know, the width of the land on those things is quite different, right? But it doesn't matter for that. And so some people this is the difference between, like if you want to say, if you were studying and say, wait a second, this part isn't exactly like that, that's the nature of bespoke items. But it does the job really great, you know. But if I bought them from a CNC shop, they would be perfect. Anybody can get perfect parts. All the stuff we order from the CNC guy is perfect. But some of this stuff is, to me, like a little bit of a signature. But thank you for appreciating it. And,
I can appreciate it more.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for showing us around.
Okay, now
I can't thank you enough.
Sure, you're welcome.
It was such fun to meet Brett, see the factory, and so unexpected. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Brett, for showing us a great time. I did come away with a couple more tools, so in future videos, look out for those. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please think about subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, dropping a like. Until next time, max life out and keep it rubber side down.